Good afternoon and good evening and good morning and whichever order and time zone you happen to be in, welcome. It is the John Lavenia Success Mastermind. Today is what? Wednesday, 23rd of March of 22. Glad to see you. You know, there are so many dates that come across that have some sort of significance. You ever notice that about as the year passes along? Yesterday, for example, well, we'll get to that anyway. Nice to see you. Kat Martin is here, and John Lavenia, the good Godzilla himself, and all of those that are listening in and checking in on the social interverses and checking out the replay. Glad to see you with us. Let's do a little housekeeping right off the bat. It's we've moved our schedules around, as you know, with our sessions and our moderators and fabulous speakers with the mastermind. Today, we have our hospitality suite right after this, and then at 4:15 Eastern time this afternoon, we've got Books for Britain with our good friend Mandy Anderson, who, as I understand it, is the absolute mistress of Microsoft Excel. As a matter of fact, we need to talk, Mandy, you and I, at some point, and talk about systems and so forth and tracking. You're absolutely brilliant at tracking numbers and knowing how those numbers and those studies affect and can help us influence the growth of our business, which is phenomenal. I myself am enjoying a chilly and clear sunny day here in Houston, Texas. What is the current temperature in Houston? Well, let's look it up, shall we? The current, well, it's not that chilly. It's 60 degrees. For those of you on the opposite side of the pond, it is 16 degrees Celsius here in Houston. For those of us north of the border or east of Houston, it's a nice day though, not a cloud in the sky, and I'm enjoying a day alone in the house. As a matter of fact, a week alone, because my lovely wife, Paula, is currently in a place where you might actually like to be on vacation. Paula is in Trinidad as we speak on a business trip. And this is actually the first trip that she has taken with her new job. As you might have remember me mentioning, Paula works in the oil and gas business. She's a geologist and the smartest person I ever met. And so she is down there this week meeting with her team and getting some stuff done down there in Port of Spain, Trinidad, the capital of Trinidad. So she's having herself a productive week. I'll put it that way. We'd rather be there on vacation, and we will be one of these days. So right now it's me and the kitty cat, Bubble, keeping the house from burning down. This is our remit, our job until Paula returns to bring sanity back into the Henderson Wiggly world. So I've got a bunch of work to do, phone calls, and I have some extra studying to do because I have new responsibility, you could say, with our brick and mortar business. Yes, we have a brick and mortar business. You may have heard about this, building barbecue smoker pits, and HDM Smokers is up and running and taking orders and shipping stuff, which is nice. It's interesting to me because many of you have, I know, I have never owned a traditional type business before where you've got, employees and utility bills to pay and walls and doors and security gate and stuff and equipment inside the building. You know what I mean? An actual brick and mortar business, as they've known. It's an interesting experience. I'm learning quite a lot of new things that are new for me, including some aspects of accounting, number running, bean counting, number tracking. You know what I mean? Come on, we're not running numbers. That's not the business. Anyway, It's really an interesting experience, and there may be other things coming as well, because I got a call the other day from a very dear friend of mine of many years. No, it wasn't John, although he is a dear friend of many years as well. It was another good friend of mine who is in the middle of launching a new venture and wants to know if I'd be interested in joining up with him. So it's going to be an interesting next couple of months. I'll let you know. The interesting thing about all of what's going on right now, but actually before I get to that, I must explain the shirt. The shirt, you see? One of those interesting facts, fun facts about your boy, Glenn. I was born and raised, as you probably remember, in Brooklyn, New York. And I have been a rabid, passionate, vehement, table-pounding, foaming at the mouth New York Mets fan since 1968. Yes, I have. And I won't tell you, because it's none of your business how old I was in 1968. I was but a babe in arms, or words to that effect. Anyway, 1969 is the year that the New York Mets won their first Major League Baseball World Championship. Also happens to be the year that men first landed and walked on the moon. So you get the reference? The pennant being the flag, the symbol, emblematic of a championship in Major League Baseball. So that's the reference. And I've already jumped in and started watching some Mets games during the preseason, as they call it, spring training. For me, spring training is always pretty much the very first harbinger of spring. I did mention that, and you've heard John mention that whenever you jump on these calls, you may want to keep a dictionary handy. Harbinger. Well, look it up. It's an indication, a sign of things to come, the meaning of the word harbinger. So what was I saying? Yes, all of these events and incidences and phone calls and conversations and offers that have been coming my way, thankfully coming my way the past few months, the past couple of years, are all the result. Oh, wait a minute. Hi, Daisy. Nice to see you. Always great to have you dialing in from the job. And look who pops in at the perfect moment. It is the money mama herself, Lindsay Dollar. You do know why we call her the money mama? Dollar. You see what I did there? Nice to see you, Lindsay.
I'm sorry I'm late.
You're late? You're right on time. I used to have an old mentor of mine. We worked together for several years, and we used to do hotel opportunity meetings for this particular business opportunity. We used to do opportunity meetings in hotels. And, you know, a lot of times when you're putting on something like that, you're hoping that people will show up, and you're hoping that the person you invited will show up, and you can meet and talk business and blah, blah, blah. And so many times, I'll point a finger at myself. So many times I'd be standing outside the meeting room, waiting for my invited guests to show up. And, you know, you get all anxious, and why isn't he here? And why didn't they show up? And she said she was going to be here at blah, blah, blah. And he used to say, Glenn, what are you doing? Well, I'm waiting for my guest. He says, always remember, Glenn, when you put on a meeting like this, the right people will always show up. So I don't have to worry about who's going to turn up, who's not going to turn up, who's going to take my call, who's going to stand me up, who's going to ghost me after a conversation, and who's going to be really in there and engaged with, because the right people will always show up. Haven't you found that to be the case in your life? I know it's been the case in my particular life. on a number of different occasions, a number of different levels. For example, it seems to me that Mr. and Mrs. Lavinia, John and Shannon Lavinia, showed up in my life at precisely the moment I needed to meet them. And subsequent events have proven that out. All the benefits, all the learning, and all the growth that I have been fortunate to experience as a direct result of my relationship with the Godzilla. So there you go. So how has all this stuff been happening? Well, you know, I realized something very recently, and that is the reason all of this stuff has been happening, all of these wonderful opportunities have been coming my way. The reason is that it has always been my intention for these opportunities to show up. What are you talking about, Glenn? You just sit around and wait for stuff to show up and then well, not exactly. But, and you don't hear me use that word very often, but all success, all accomplishment, all achievement, all growth and learning and progress begins with an intention. I remember, you may remember, that I promised you some while ago that I would share with you the principle behind a particular book I'd read, which had become a favorite of mine. And let's see, what's the book? Well, here we go. If I can share my screen. Let's see, the book is called, let me go back to I'm gonna get my, yes, here we go. Here's the book. You ready? You ready? Here's the book. Mike Carnegie, The Ultimate Secret to Getting Absolutely Everything You Want. Do you remember some time ago I promised you, swore on a stack of Star Trek books that I would share the secret with you? Remember that? Well, I'm about to share the secret with you. Wait a minute. That title sounds utterly ridiculous, doesn't it? Please feel free. Yes, Glenn, the title sounds ridiculous. The Ultimate Secret to Getting Absolutely Everything You Want. When I first saw that, do you know why I bought this bloody book in the first place? You know why I bought this book? Because I thought the title was absolutely ridiculous. And I had to know, what in the world are you talking? The ultimate secret? You mean there's one secret to everything? There's one, yeah, actually, as it turns out. Want to know what it is? Well, I'm going to share it with you now. This gentleman, Mike Carnegie, has a really tremendous biography and career and everything else. Won't go into all of that because you got to read the book. But I will share with you a little bit about it. Simple principle. So he tells this story about a couple of attorneys sitting in an office in a federal courthouse. And one of the attorneys was talking about, as you see here, the fact that he was closing his practice and he's moving to Florida. The other attorney says, well, I envy you, as you see there. I've wanted to move to Florida. And the gentleman says, so why don't you leave? He says, oh, I can't move now. My practice, my family, blah, blah, blah. And the other guy says, yeah, it's interesting. I have a family, established practice here, family, home, all those things, same things you do, but I'm moving anyway. And you see what the guy's reaction, oh, then you're just throwing everything away. You're a damn fool. Why in the world would cause a reaction like that? And why would the first gentleman be, oh, well, okay, if you don't want to do it, then all right. Well, there's a principle here. You ready for it? Okay, let me just go ahead and jump right to it. Are you ready? You ready? The ultimate secret to getting absolutely everything you want. Before I share it with you, No, I'm not screwing around with you. This is not another tease. I am going to tell you. Think about right now, take a moment and think about a few of your highest goals, a few of the things that you've always wanted in life, from the standpoint of your career, your business, your health, relationships, family, your spiritual walk. What's the ideal life? What does your ideal life look like? And I really can't go into, I'm really not going to go into a lot of specifics because your ideal life is very specific to you, as you know what I mean. For me, one big part of my ideal life, well, I'll give you a couple big parts of my ideal life. One involves travel. Paula and I love to travel. We love to get on planes and cruise ships and jump in the truck and drive someplace. We just absolutely, it is one of our life goals. It is one of our life's ambitions to travel anywhere we want, anywhere we choose in the world, stay as long as we like, and really enjoy ourselves. Forget about troubles, forget about obligations, concerns, just travel, go see the world. That's one. So you get an idea. Now then, what is it that you're hoping for out of life? A couple of those highest ambitions, highest aspirations that you have. You want to know how to get them? I am now going to tell you. Look down at the bottom of the screen there. Highlighted in yellow. You see it? In order to accomplish something, you must be willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Come on, it couldn't be that simple, could it? Well, actually, yeah, it kind of is. I'll read it again in case you missed it. In order to accomplish something, you must be willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish it. Okay, I'm going to go turn off the dishwasher because it's beeping at me. It's getting a little annoying. While I'm doing that, you may want to grab a pen and paper and write that down. I'll be right back. Still here. Haven't left. There you go. Just turned off the dishwasher. Yes, I do dishes. Well, more specifically, I generally put dishes into the dish. See, this is why God created dishwashers, so that we wouldn't have to do all the scrubbing ourselves. Okay, I threw that in for free. You're welcome. In order to accomplish something, you must be willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish it. Again, that's it. Just as important, and here's something to note, and Mike goes into this in further detail in the book, but let's unpack this for just a second, if you just a minute, if you will. Come along with me. Every bit as important as this, as what this statement says, equally important is what it does not say. So take a look at it. Take a look at it again. What does it not say? Class? What does it not say? The principle, look right here. I'm highlighting it again. The principle does not say that you must actually do whatever it takes. Simply says, does not say you have to physically take on every single task. It does not even demand any specific action, as Mike says. And this is where Mike starts to get into discussing a little bit, a moment discussing some of the differences between Western and Eastern culture. See, we're achievers. We are doers. We are movers and shakers. And that is fabulous. Here in Western culture, particularly here in America, we are doers. We do stuff. We accomplish things. We get shit done. Sorry, John, you'll have to edit that later. We get stuff done here in the US of A and in other, not just America. We're accustomed to doing. If something isn't right, we are conditioned to take action to change it, right? Neither right nor wrong, good or bad, that is simply how we generally are in Western culture. Eastern cultures are a little bit different for the most part. And I think some of the Eastern philosophies that we've read about or heard about may have an advantage over us in the sense that they recognize that there is a point, as Mike says here, there is a point where physical action cannot accomplish a goal. So here you go. Look down the bottom of the page. Suppose you're unhappy being single. Well, you could get married, but divorce stats, are all married people automatically happy because they're married? Yeah, silly question. So the point is, can you take action in order to be happy? Is there a specific action that you can take which will guarantee that you'll be happy? Silly question. Happiness is a state of mind. And as we know, almost every time emotions occur to us or come to us independent of action. Now, we, again, here in this doer, mover, shaker, accomplisher, achiever Western society, I was about to say that emotions generally follow action. And, that's true for a lot of cases. But, happiness, can you do happiness? My mental state, my attitude? Or is that more a matter of decision? Look at the highlighted portion here. When it comes to getting results, intention is more important than action. Why? We have studied together the science of getting rich, the ultimate stuff that makes up the constitution of the universe, and we can influence events and circumstances in the universe by what? By our thought, by our statements, mental and verbal, by our intention, by our attitude, by our mental state of gratitude. We've talked about these things in the past. And so as we look into this, and as I have seen in my own life, and I know many of us here have seen in our own lives, there have been times when we've set a goal, set an intention to have a certain result in our life, to have a certain set of stats in our life to occur into our business. And out of nowhere, seemingly out of air fingers quotes, nowhere, the phone rang. Somebody with an offer, with an opportunity, as just happened to me. And you can certainly cite examples in your own life, can you not? Where, what in the world? Where in the world did that come from? Where in the world did that offer come from? It just came completely out of the blue. Well, no, it didn't. It grew out of your own decision that is how your life was going to unfold. Now, does this mean that we set an intention, we decide that we're willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish our goal, and then we sit around with incense and candles and sage burning in the house, and we wait. My goals are coming to me. Why haven't my goals come to me yet? I have the proper intention. I have the attitude. I have the state of mind. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Where are my goals? Well, I think our friend John is a walking, talking, living, breathing example of the fact that one of the things that's necessary after we set our intention is to get down to business and work our ass off. I'm sorry. John's got to be there with the edit button again. Work our faces off. Work. Yeah, you know what? Western culture has that part right. Nothing works until you do. If you want your life to change, realize that nothing will change unless you do. But this has to be a marriage, has to be a partnership between your intention and your work ethic. Intention without a solid, consistent work ethic is pipe dreaming. And a solid, consistent work ethic without intention is a hamster in a wheel. Running his ass off and getting nowhere, or as Mr. Scott said in an episode of Star Trek, yes, we are pursuing a circular course, and at warp 10, we're going nowhere mighty fast. You may now laugh at my fake Scottish accent. Got to be both. Work as hard as you want, but start by being willing to do whatever it takes. And what I have found, and what you will find, and probably may already be discovering in your life, is that when you begin with that intention, when we begin saying, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, the steps that you need to take in order to accomplish the goal will present themselves. And I can virtually guarantee that you will never, and I know, very dangerous to use that word, right? I can virtually guarantee that you will never be required to do absolutely everything you could possibly write down on a list in order to accomplish your goal. Try it. What's a goal? What is something you want to accomplish, let's say in your business? Sit down with a piece of paper and write down every single action you can possibly think of, every single person you could possibly call, every purchase or investment you could possibly imagine to make in order to accomplish that goal. I can promise you, you will not have to do all of those things before your goal shows up. Some of them you probably will. And the other thing is that is fairly certain is that probably there will be tasks and steps and actions that will come up later that you haven't thought to write on your list. And that's perfectly okay too, because the universe already knows how to get you where you need to be. So begin with the intention. I'll show it to you again. I'll share it with you again in case you hadn't had the chance to write it down before. In order to accomplish something, you must be willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish it. You must be willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish it. There's a quote that I love to. Okay, can you still see me, hear me? Put your hand up. I just clicked a button that felt a little weird. You can, okay, we're still recording. Good. There is a quote that I absolutely love. And I'm going to just read it for you. And it talks about this whole attitude of willingness. You've heard me read it before, and I absolutely love it. William Hutchison Murray. This is all about intention. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy. the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the actions? No. A whole stream of events issues from the decision. Raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would come his way. I have learned a deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. And it all begins with a decision, with an intention, with a commitment to be willing to do whatever it takes. I'm gonna say it one more time because I have learned the miracle and am learning the miracle of intention in my own life. In order to accomplish something, you must be willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish it. Here endeth the sermonette for today. I'd love to hear from you a thought, because I know that almost every one of us has had a circumstance where we've wanted something, wanted to accomplish something, and the resources and the means to accomplish that thing appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Given what we now know from this quote from Mr. Hernacki, would you say, could it be that maybe the circumstances that you experienced weren't necessarily as random as they appeared to be at the time? I know that that's the case with me. So there you go. I continue to be amazed at the power of God, the power of the universe, the power of our own intention and thought acting upon the elemental stuff of the universe, the power of infinite intelligence. That's where all of this comes from. Impressing our thought, impressing our intention upon infinite intelligence, and watch what happens. Yes. Reverend Lavinia, what's happening, my friend?
Hey, Glenn. Sorry I'm not on camera today. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. Please go forward.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for this. Wow. Let me give two pieces of feedback on this. First is that as you were reading that quote and revealing the secret, here's the big reveal.
Finally.
Oh my goodness. As you were doing that, I was thinking, you know what? This sounds a lot like something that I wrote and that I've since read. In integrity is everything. It's like, well, as within, so without. To have an intent and not have the willingness to actually achieve it by whatever it takes for as long as it takes. Well, where's the integrity in that, right? It's like, to use like a silly example, if I was walking around quacking like a duck, that may be effective in terms of convincing other people that I'm a duck because I intend to be a duck. But if I kept saying I want to be a duck, and I never quack, then well, how serious are you? And who knows? Maybe in the cosmic bigger picture, maybe I get hit by lightning and, reoccur as a duck next time. I don't know. Probably, hopefully not. That's not my intention. Okay. So let me let me let me retract everything I just said. But the point is that you have abilities and you have desires. We all do. And the fact that you have those desires indicates that you also have the means to fulfill them. I'm not interested in being a duck, nor do I have the capacity to be a duck. But I do have the intention to have this and that experience and accomplishments in my life and be of service to people and all the, the things which we can drill down into. And guess what? I also have the ability to accomplish those things. So where I think a lot of people confuse willingness or unwillingness and impossibility. There's the words where people confuse unwillingness and impossibility is the duck, right? So if we're saying, well, no, I mean, I've got lots of things that I haven't accomplished, and maybe I'm just not cut out for it. Maybe I can't, I can't. Okay, well, are those things like you want to, transform into a duck or something? Because then I would agree. Impossible, at least as long as you're doing this, this body thing. Okay, so that's impossible. Okay, but in terms of, let's say, for example, your financial goal to be successful in business and to make X amount of dollars per month. Well, has anybody else on planet Earth ever done that? And if the answer is yes, well, then, there's your proof of concept. And if the answer is no, then, you could be the first. But yeah, it's going to be like some outrageous, like feats of amazingness and stuff. So, strap in, get ready to go, but it's not impossible. Ralph Emerson said, in every act of genius, we recognize our own rejected thoughts. So there's the difference between impossible and unwilling, I think. One other thing I'll say, and then I'll shut up, is that you just took one line out of a book and got a whole half hour out of it. And I'm training a subordinate in my consulting business to do what I do in terms of counseling with various entrepreneurs and this and that. And they had a question about, well, where do you come up with your content? And I said, well, we've got this reading list, you see, and here are books which we actually recommend to our clients. And you could grab any of them, open any of them to any page, read a paragraph, and you'll never, ever, ever run out of content, ever. And when you get through all the books, and you've elucidated on every concept that you, by happenstance, happen to remind yourself of because it's already in the book, then we could just do the books again and never even buy any more books because everybody forgot what you said, just like you forgot what you said 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for demonstrating that for people who want to get into public speaking. See what Glenn just did? One line out of a book. There you go. There's your lecture. So thank you, brother.
Thank you, John. That's very high praise. I appreciate that. And this is why two things occurred to me from what you just shared, John. Number one is in the universe of possibilities and accomplishments and difference between success and failure, very often the difference between success and failure is the difference between the word can't and the word won't. If I am willing to finally be clear with myself and say, the reason I have not achieved this thing, which I say is a thing of importance to me, the reason I have heretofore not achieved it is because I haven't wanted to achieve it. If I have, as you said, John, taking the duck analogy, if it's something that I have at least said that I want it, and I have the capability and I have the means and the resources, if I haven't accomplished it yet, it's because I didn't want to. Simple. And there comes a point where I have to quit BSing myself. You see how I cleaned that up? Pretty nice that time, right? There's a point at which I need to quit jiving myself and say, okay, I haven't done this because I didn't want to. I've had the resource, had the ability, just chose not to do it. Now, am I choosing to do it now? Am I now choosing to be willing to do whatever? Am I choosing? Okay, let's go. See, but the foundation of all growth is truth. It's in the book. It's in the book. The chapter is called, oh, you knew I had to do this, right? Chapter is called The First Duty. The first duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth. But that's another lecture for another day. Like one line, right? That was the thing. And you talked about taking one line from a book and working out a whole conversation. This is why I read, there are several books that I read once a year, whether I need to or not. One of them is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Another one is this one, The Ultimate Secret to Getting Absolutely Everything You Want by Mike Carnegie. There is a couple of others, but I read them regularly. Why? Because I do not have an eidetic memory. There will be things that I'll forget, and it's best to make the effort, to schedule the effort to continually remind ourselves of universal truths so that we remind ourselves yet again to live by them. Thank you, John. And thank you all for sharing this time with me. And now, if you'll excuse me, I've got some phone calls to make. I've got a little work to do, stuff to accomplish, and it's going to be a very busy week, month, and a very interesting rest of 2022 in a good way. Thank you all so much. Remember, 4:15, hospitality suite right after us. 4:15 Eastern time. It is Books for Britain with Mandy Anderson. And we shall see you again at our next general session tomorrow morning at 12 noon Eastern time. Have a great day. As a matter of fact, make it a great day. Our friend John always reminds us, you absolutely deserve it. Bye for now.